Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Bondex live stream. We have the honor of having Malcolm here from Gravitas International, a Singapore-based end-to-end consulting company for blockchain companies. But I'm going to let him do a short intro about himself, and then I'll do one about myself.
Thanks, Ignacio. My name is Malcolm. I hail from Singapore. We have been in the blockchain space since 2017. Since then, we've been primarily in advisory. So I've advised over 100 projects. About 10 of these are end-to-end. The rest of them we help in various capacities. For us, we call ourselves end-to-end, and a lot of advisors actually say that they are, but we don't believe that. Well, we really do everything. So we have a filing agent company within our group. So we help to incorporate companies primarily in Singapore and also offshore countries around the world, whichever is the best jurisdiction that we advise our clients to. Secondly, we help with the advisory part. So we teach them about whatever they need to know about tokenizing digital assets. I myself have written a book about how to ICO, and that was in 2017. My second book was on DeFi, the latest financial phenomenon that was published last year. And now I'm writing a third book on NFTs. So the third part of what we do in the advisory space is on the business aspects. We help with the white paper writing, tokenomics, etc. Fourth aspect is technology. So we help with website development, the app development. Some DeFi modules are now possible through us. We help with whatever the clients require in terms of their tech. And we also, of course, help with the minting of tokens and creation of smart contracts. Our tech teams are based all over the world. We have a team from Ukraine, Russia, China, Singapore, and Malaysia, and they work project based. The fifth thing that we do is marketing and distribution. So we help with community management, engagement, social media. Before COVID, we used to do investor roadshows. Now that's not possible, and we basically help to raise funds for the clients. And after everything is done, we help with the exchange listings. So we were previously doing IEOs. Nowadays, it's IDOs and Launchpad launches, and we have our own decentralized exchange as well. So that's what I described about my advisory side. Within our group, we have a lot of other verticals as well. So we're into payments. Singapore is now regulated for crypto. So we have three regulated entities within our group. And right now we are doing a few big corporate actions, working with some listed companies and some VCs that are investing into our group as well. So we do basically everything. I used to say that we only don't do Bitcoin mining, and now we do that as well.
I am thoroughly impressed by how many tentacles you have. That's very impressive. I'm very sad I didn't find you guys when we were first starting almost a year ago, because as anyone that in the space can tell you, it is so painful to start a crypto company, especially in a bull market where the prices are sky high, and unfortunately there's still a lot of scammers in the space, and you get taken for a ride over and over. So finding people with true expertise that are honest and capable and professional is actually very hard. So I wish we would have found you earlier, but I think there's going to be lots of synergies to work together from here on out. And I'll tell you a bit about Bondex and the stage that we're in now. So we're basically a Web 3.0 LinkedIn killer mixed with fintech capabilities. So the idea is mixing those two models together and then tokenizing it to turn our users into owners of the network. There's two sides of it. As I said, there's going to be the talent transaction. So employers looking for users as talent, right, for jobs, whether they're gig or permanent jobs. And the transactions are going to be, the usual that you have, including freelancer projects and those type of transactions that will incur fees. And then on the fintech side, we'll actually have a digital wallet with a variety of currencies, including the Bondex token, which will be a governance and utility token, and also a credit debit card that connects to that digital wallet and lets people spend their crypto in the real world. So it's going to help with the on-ramp, off-ramp of crypto. So we're combining and improving upon those two models, right? Talent, network, and marketplace combined with fintech capabilities and crypto, and then tokenizing it to enable the users to take place in it, right? And that's what's fantastic about blockchain, that we have a new business model in which those technology monopolies of the past that have grown to be the biggest technologies, companies in the world, Google's, Facebook, LinkedIn of the world, they turn your user data into the product, and they cut you out of the value proposition, and they just give you a free product, but they keep all the money to themselves, right? This is the revolution that we're starting, and this is what we're opening the doors to. So I encourage everyone to check out our product, and I'm very excited to talk to Gravitas because now that you've outlined everything that you've done, again, we could have really used your help. We encountered a lot of bumps along the road finding people that basically were just not actually as capable and professional. I think the space still has a little bit way to mature, and so finding people that come from maybe other industries that are more mature, banking, consulting, things like that, is actually bringing maturity to the whole blockchain space, right? And now I kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit, now that we've given backgrounds about both our companies, a little bit about crypto in general. And you said you've joined since 2017 the Bitcoin kind of movement. I'd like to say, what first sparked your interest about Bitcoin? How did you first hear about it? Why did you get into it?
When I first got into touch with it, it was Q3 2017. And at that point, I only heard the word Bitcoin. I had heard the acronym ICO, and I didn't know what it was. And of course, I heard cryptocurrency, but I didn't really know about it. So I am a serial entrepreneur. I was previously in a lot of different verticals and a lot of different industries. And fundraising was always a part of it because I was a corporate service provider, and we had clients who came to us for fundraising. And there was this one time where I was free. I happened to be free for by an hour in the evening, and then I had a business associate who I kind of knew, and he was shilling his project. So I had time. I clicked on the link, went to his Telegram chat channel, and then he was shilling his project. So I looked at his project. It was total crap, absolutely rubbish white paper, totally rubbish business plan, and business idea. So I had a to and fro with him for an hour, and I debunked his thesis. I told him it's total rubbish, and then I left the channel. I said, okay, I don't want to waste my time. So some of the people from the channel kept in touch with me and said, hey, good thing you scolded him because he's total rubbish, right? But over the next 3 weeks, he raised like $700,000, and it's like I never encountered a lousy project like that. It's so easily raising money from the public. So I thought, okay, something's wrong here. Let me do a deep dive into it. So I started to attend all the meetup sessions that I could find. It helped that I'm in Singapore because Singapore for the last 4 years has been one of the crypto centers of the world. So there were many meetup sessions, Eventbrite events, and I attended those. I tried to do a deep dive into it, and I couldn't really find any credible sources on the internet. And that's what led me to write my first book on it. And so I started attending everything that I could get my hands on and reading everything I could. And then the moment I started doing this deep dive, I realized that this was the next revolution, right? This is the Internet 2.0. Internet 1.0 is file transfer and information transfer. Cryptocurrency, blockchain technologies enable the asset transformation of a digital economy. And I think that's going to revolutionize so many different aspects of our lives and so many industries over the next 10 to 20 years. And that's what got me into it.
Fantastic answer, very complete. And I actually feel I relate very much into what you're saying. It also caught me in the first bull market, but then I did see that first bear market, and I saw the 90% of those last few projects that you said that raised funds easily, all those teams kind of evaporated. And I guess we're all waiting to see what happens in the next one, but I think the industry is much more mature now. And you're selling me on Singapore. I'm happy to say that we're incorporated in Singapore, and it's something that we looked around for a long time. But it's a debate that we've been having now, that we're kind of for the first time we're launching an equity round, and we're getting some institutional investors in, and we also have an entity in the US, right? And our entity in the US, where we have operations, is wholly owned by our entity in the Singapore, and we did it in Singapore because of the friendly regulatory environment, the support from the government, and simply, if you go to Singapore, you see yourself, Singapore is open for business. And I think they're making the right call and being so like forward thinking with crypto in general. So, besides some of the points that you've outlined, maybe sell me a little bit more on why Singapore is the spot to be at. Why is it the place to be a blockchain company?
Yeah, since 2017, actually, Singapore has been one of the top 5 destinations for crypto projects. At one point in time, I think late 2018 or sometime in 2019, it was number 1 in the world in terms of the amounts of money raised from the projects that were listed here. So in 2017, I had never seen so many Russians in my life. So everywhere I went, half the event were full of Russians and in Singapore. But then the Russians left Singapore in early 2018 because they realized that Singapore is great for regulation, but not great for regulation, if you know what I mean. So when they came, they thought this was just like Russia, except more regulated. But then they realized that being regulated really means business. So that's the reputation of Singapore. Why all the regional and international headquarters want to set up in Singapore, because it's a East meets West. The Indian population, the Chinese population, which are huge markets, trust Singapore. Singapore is the regional center for Southeast Asia and the ASEAN countries, and the Western countries like to come to Singapore because we're English speaking and they're used to the Western way of doing business. So it's really a melting pot, and it's a great place for the East to meet the West. So Chinese projects, Korean projects, Japanese projects who want to get the Western investors, they will come to Singapore, and vice versa. Western projects who want to get into the Asian markets tend to select Singapore as well. Of course, the grants, the government support, and most importantly, the regulatory stance, which is quite unwavering. Once they made a decision, the government sticks by it, and it doesn't change the rules all the time. And of course, the Mandarin system. Mandarin system means that the government is full of scholars, all very smart people, and they do their research and homework and really implement laws which they have deeply researched and have had a lot of industry consultations for. So it's a very strong regulatory environment. It's open for business. Tax is low. Tax is a huge advantage of coming to Singapore because Singapore has zero capital gains tax, meaning that if you are not a full-time trader or you don't make all your profits from trading, then you don't get taxed on your gains from trading crypto. So that's a huge gain over let's say the US or the EU or Japan or Korea, where they all tax the gains on crypto trading. Singapore doesn't do that. So there are multiple advantages. I mean, basically how a lot of businesses want to come to Singapore. So it's the same thing for the crypto industry, and even more so for the crypto industry because Singapore's regulations are very strict and open. And once it says something, then it sticks by it.
We're very, very bullish on Singapore and very happy that we've chosen that territory. Now it's about how we manage a globally distributed company between the US, the UK, and Singapore. That will bring some challenges, but we're very happy we chosen that territory. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Bondex, but I myself hold an American passport. So unfortunately, I haven't delved deeply into what the implications of that will be for me as someone that owns share in a company in Singapore, but I'm sure I will have tons of fun when it comes to that.
that means you have to pay tax in the US regardless.
No, I know, but
That's
I know
basically
that's
what it means.
exactly what it means. But even with that, and I think Tim is also an American. Even with that, we chose it as the premier location for the company, and we're very excited about it. And I've looked at your list of services, and I'm excited that we've connected because I think we'll have tons of things to look forward to. I have a question for you, for example. Something that we haven't done yet, because we're the stage that we're at now is we've launched a product to market called the Origin app. It's a user acquisition app in which the early users are rewarded for joining. It's mobile mining, so people get given tokens for joining. Then they do certain gamified actions to build their professional profile. So they upload their resume, they invite other users to become also part of the Bondex network, and they also build their professional profiles. And all of this boosts their mining rate so that they can earn more and more tokens and be more and more owners of the platform, right? So we launched this in August, and we're about to cross 250,000 users, which is a pretty big landmark in a short amount of time. So that's pretty great. So we actually haven't raised much external funding yet, but we're about to do a public pre-sale starting in November. At the end of this month, actually. And we look forward to doing an ICO in January. So I have two-part question for you. One is, it seems like the whole market's looking at December, right? Everyone's looking to see what happens. What is your view on that? What do you think is going to happen over the next 3 months? How long do you think this bull market's going to keep going? What do you think that's going to mean for projects that are in a stage like we are, et cetera, et cetera? That's the first question. I'll follow up with the second one.
Right. I wrote a series of articles in around May 2020. That's the time of the halving. And my prediction back then was that Bitcoin would, if it follows the trend of the last 4 years and the eight years mark before that, every time it halves, then the price of Bitcoin goes up 10 to 15 times. And of course, when it goes 10 to 15 times, Ether in the historical band is between 10 to 30 times of Bitcoin. So these are the two major coins, and everything else falls in line behind that. I am still standing by that, and I think that by the end of the year, we'll see a higher price for these two major crypto, and along with that, most of the industry, most of the entire market as well. I would say easily between 80 to 100. That would be my target range for Bitcoin. But of course, having said that, now there are a lot of institutional players, a lot of Wall Street are into crypto right now, and most importantly, the ETFs in the US have started. And with what happened in 2017 is exactly what we are seeing right now. For the last 1.5 years, I've been predicting every step of all these things, and it basically plays out, right? It's very obvious for those who have been in the space. We are playing out exactly like 2017. And what happened in 2017? Same thing. Chinese announcement, ban, and then crypto dropped to a nadir in September, and then it started climbing up with CBOE and CME saying that they are coming up with futures, and then it climbed up all the way into January. I expect something similar to happen now that the ETFs are starting in the US. ETFs have been popping up in EU, in Canada. US has taken a while, but now that it has gone there, suddenly a lot of institutional buying is coming in for the derivatives, and that's spurring the growth in the price. But having said that, once this happens, then all the whales will come and play. And these are not the crypto whales anymore. These are the Wall Street whales, and they are different size class totally. So for next year, it's going to be a bit uncertain because we're not sure how the markets are going to be played. And if it follows the trend of 2018, then it's going to be a long, long bear. But I think this time round, 2022 is going to be different from 2018 because more and more retail investors are coming in, more and more institutional investors are coming in, and the institutional investors have really put billions of dollars into the space, and with that, they always have an entry point. So I think that now we have very established entry points and floors that the prices of this crypto will not drop below because there's so much institutional pressure propping it up that now more or less we have a few price points that are floors, right? There's a whole bunch of them that came in at 20 plus K, whole bunch of them that came in at 30 plus. A lot of them recently came in at 45, 50. So it's not going to go down significantly anymore. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I'm more or less coordinated with you, and I also think there's going to be a kind of there's going to be a flock to value to companies that actually have business models that are actually making cash in the real economy, and I think
Certainly.
we're an example of that, right? We're going to be making transactions from talent and fintech transactions. So I'm hoping that if there is a bear market, there would be a flood to safety, to people that are earning, cash, not just from blockchain itself, but from real business models from the real economy. And the second thing we're doing to combat some of that is strong KYC that we're kind of launching and implementing. We're actually, I said November for the pre-sale. We're actually launching the pre-sale imminently, and we're actually enabling KYC on the app itself, and for people to buy the tokens on the Origin app directly from there, even with their card, and even Apple Pay, which we're quite proud of because not that many platforms have been able to achieve that in 3 months since launch. But we
Great.
have strong,
Congratulations.
thank you. But we have strong KYC processes there because I think that's part of the community building. In order to build a good project that can hold its value properly, right? You can't have all the speculators that come in, all the whales that can come in and like do as they please, right? And part of it is that KYC and community building is two of the weapons that we are using ourselves to be able to build, a good kind of base of holders that will believe in the project long term. And they're not just speculating, right? They want to see a Web 3.0 LinkedIn that democratizes talent and access to it, and want to be a part of that. They're not just going to go bull or bear strictly to make money, like I think a lot of greater part of the market is. So those are some of the things we're putting in place.
That KYC is totally necessary. That's something I agree with. I believe that the world is moving into a hybrid model. Even though so many people are going for decentralization and all that, but there still has to be a central element. And with the Financial Action Task Force, FATF, coming up with regulations right now. Recently, I think last week they made a whole long list of suggestions, and DeFi is getting regulated right now, even under the Financial Action Task Force, which means we basically need to see KYC once you get into the financial ecosystem.
I completely agree. Regulation is coming whether you want it or not. So it's better to be all by the book. We're Reg D and SEC approved, and we're
Oh,
also
great.
actually we're actually putting a digital payments license application in with Mass at the moment in Singapore. So we're
Oh,
putting a
great.
lot of resources into our legal, into our legal firepower to make sure that we're all by the book and implementing KYC on all our users and everyone that's buying. So like we're trying to be prepared because it's better to be
Excellent.
ready than for it to catch you off guard, right? When it's already too
Excellent.
late.
Yeah, over the last 1.5 years, my group we have done close to 20 applications for the digital payment token regime under the Payment Services Act, and three of our clients are imminently getting a license already. So within our group, we have three of our own entities that are also going for the licenses. So we have a lot of the exemptions, and we can
Yeah.
operate legally. Yep.
No, I don't want to be mean to our current provider, but again, I wish I would have found you a long time ago. It's been, it's been not a painful road, but it's been a road full of challenges and fires. But luckily, we have a team that's kind of kick-ass and adaptable, and
Great.
we've been able to navigate everything pretty well. And we're very excited. In terms of public listings, that's something that we're not getting there in that stage, but we want to time it very carefully, right? And we want to do it in January. So as you said, there's certain uncertainty there, but with the money we're going to raise now through our pre-sales in our app, if we encounter a bear market, we actually have enough runway to build a product, keep doing user acquisition, and grow the company organically until there's another bull market, and then we will ICO, right? We
Great.
wouldn't
Great.
want to do it in the middle of a bear market. But what do you
Great.
think? What would you recommend to a company that wants to ICO in January? What do you think we should look out for? Some tips there.
Really, the ICO scene now is so different in the space that I've been in. The last 4 years, basically every 3 to 6 months, there's a different environment, a different terrain. So late 2017 is different from early 2018, different from mid 2018, different from end 2018, different from entire 2019. So right now we are in the space of GameFi and NFTs. I think the next 6 months, SocialFi is going to be exciting. And we are looking at the metaverse coming up over the next 1.5 years. So if we are looking at traditional ICOs, it's still very important to have institutional backing. Now, more or less, our models are go get the VC funding and get all the money that you need instead of going to the market. Because once you expose yourself to the market, then you have a lot of possible dumping pressure. Unless you can really build up your ecosystem and you have good tokenomics that can prevent the dumping. Otherwise, you have to be very reliant on the macro situations and your community. So timing is very, very key if you're relying on retail. So more or less, most of the projects that we are advising right now, we tell them go the private routes, go and get your funding all settled so that you don't have to depend on the vagaries of the market. So it doesn't really depend on the macro situation. And exactly like what you said, if the macro situation is great, then launch. If the macro situation isn't great and you have sufficient funding, then just go stealth mode, build up your ecosystem, and look at the charts right now. Look at the top 100. These are all the projects that have proved themselves out over the last 3 years. You'll see a lot of the top 10, top 20, top 30, top 50 are the projects that did well in their ICOs back in 2017 and 2018. And these are the ones that stuck by their roadmaps and actually delivered. And these are the ones that are now billion-dollar capitalization companies. And you can totally go by the same route. And 2-3 years later, even if the macro situations aren't great, once you have proved yourself out, then you would achieve the multiples that you're looking at.
Yeah, we're in total agreement there. That's where we're preparing our company for multiple scenarios. Lean, being able to run the company very lean, and also focusing on our community and our ecosystem, as you're saying. And funny you say it. We're going down the NFT route as well. We're actually going after every vertical you've mentioned. We're doing an equity round for institutionals so that they come in and also partake into the private sale of tokens. We're doing a pre-sale in which we want only our own users of the platform to be buyers. So the users are the investors as well, to help in sort of that potential dumping pressure, right? So everyone's aligned there. Good lockups and cliffs, and everyone's kind of incentives aligned. And then we're actually releasing our own NFT marketplace with our first NFT collection. We're still coming up with a utility strategy so that it fits into the whole model of Bondex, right? Our NFT should have utility about finding jobs and propelling your career forward. So we're still working on building a strategy there, but we're going to be launching our own marketplace and collection at the end of this month. So we're
Great,
kind of
great.
like, we're kind of open on all fronts. And this is why I'm saying, I'm kind of proud of our team and the team we've been able to build together, because we've been able to manage to do all these things at once. Because as you say, the blockchain environment and the blockchain industry is so fast changing that what was hot last year is not hot this year. You need to be able to adapt to survive, but the important is to be able to execute. And as we have a solid roadmap of where full vision is to be, we want to have our community and our users at the center of it, and the most important thing. And those are our values and our principles. And then be able to execute in all the verticals we want to fundraise with, and go to the market with that. And that's kind of the plan at the moment. So I'm kind of liking
Great.
what I'm hearing from you. We're versatile.
Right. Validation for your plans. Yeah. But this is what's required. You have to be adroit, and it's funny when DeFi got popular. Suddenly, every project that failed in 2018 became a DeFi project in 2020. So that's how the scene moved. Yeah.
That's what happened. I mean, I guess you really have a good overview of the whole market as a whole, and I guess what you've said about the future makes sense. So NFTs is the current moment, what's happening, and you think the metaverse will be the next frontier, right?
Yep. It's one of the next frontiers. Yeah.
One
After
of the next
GameFi,
frontiers.
it's going to be SocialFi, and then after SocialFi will be Metaverse.
It's a crazy time to be alive, but you know what this reminds me of is that there's not enough talent to actually build all this technology that into the future at the moment. There's not enough. There's such a skills gap in technology
Yeah.
professionals. There's
Because
and COVID has accelerated the way we work. The trends of changed the way we work by 10 years. Distributed workforce, gig economy. People need to upskill themselves faster into learning new codes and
mm,
new languages and new forms of blockchain. And this is where Bondex, I think, is going to come in and kick some ass and help the entire ecosystem find jobs and find these people and this talent that they need to build all this technology. Because at the moment, I think there's a massive skills gap and a shortage of labor to actually
yeah, you're
pull
right.
everything off. Don't
You're
you
right.
think?
Solid blockchain developers are very hard to find, and it didn't help that crypto went into the crypto winter in 2018, 2019, because it was so hot in 2017. If you're in the crypto space, you're a blockchain developer, in such high demand. A normal salary could be $5,000. You could easily command $20,000 for the same skill set, but of course in Solidity. And unfortunately, 2018, 2019 took away a lot of the interest in the development community. So very few people stuck with it. Today, the talent that you see in the market are those who stuck through it. And there is a huge gap
And
because now
they're
the
get,
market is so much bigger.
and they're getting paid, but it's
Yeah,
still a huge labor shortage for all the companies.
yeah,
And this is part of the issue that we're trying to tackle with Bondex, right? I
mm,
think a lot of this developer community, these younger Gen Zs, millennial that are rising, they have no interest in LinkedIn, right? It's a legacy platform monopoly that does not apply to the decentralized world. There's a few cool job boards in the blockchain space, but I think you don't have a Web 3.0 platform for these people to go find jobs and for employers and the blockchain companies to go find the talent in a different, more fresh, gamified way of doing things. So that's why I'm excited
exactly.
about the company. That's why I'm bullish about ourselves.
Actually, it's funny that this is your business model because the very first business that I started back in 2008 was exactly this model as well. But
Really?
of course, a lot of industry changes, right? So back then, it took billions of dollars to do what you are doing right now. And today, with the technology and all the libraries and all the tools sets that have been built, I think if I were to do this again, it'd probably take me like a couple 100,000 to do what I was trying to set out to do, 13 years ago. And the funny thing also, 2017, there was a project that was, I think, pretty similar thesis or the underlying thesis, but they only raised like $9 million and they couldn't really carry out the plan. They're still around, and I know the founder,
What
but
is it called? Can you say a
oh,
name? Is that okay?
I have to, let me check.
If you feel bad, don't worry about it. But there is one project that has come to market called Brain Trust, and
No,
it's basically a freelancer marketplace started by the guys from TopTal, in which the freelancers own the network and stuff like that. But I think it pumped very hard in the beginning, and then it went quite low. And
yeah.
I don't see the volume in it. It's a good business model, but it's not exactly what I think has a full capability of what the industry needs. And I'm sure, listen, there's no new ideas under the sun, right? What you said, I'm sure other people have had the idea of doing what we're doing. This is my second attempt actually at doing it.
Indoors.
Oh, it's called
I
Endorse?
Yeah, INDORSE. Yeah, you look it up. That was started in 2017, and I think a lot of similar concepts. It was supposed to be the blockchain LinkedIn killer. So, yeah,
Oh, I'll take a look, but that they took too long. Now it's our time.
yeah, they took too long. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, they were not fast enough. Yeah,
That's fantastic. I really appreciate your time, and I want to be respectful of it. So I kind of want to get some closing statements about what do you see for Gravitas for the next 3 to 6 months? What should we be watching out for your company? Give us some exciting updates that are coming up.
Yeah, we are working on a very exciting project called Influential. So that's a combination of influencers and NFTs and gamification, GameFi. So it's a play to earn as well. So if you own NFTs of your idols, you also get to earn money. So I think this is going to be huge because everybody grows up wanting to be an influencer or to earn a side gig from an influencer market right now. So this is something to watch out for. Um, at at Gravitas, we are part of a group called Technicorum, and right now we are undergoing a few major corporate actions. So you could very well see our name in the media about some of the big acquisitions and M&A actions. So we have about 3 or 4 of them lined up over the next 3 to 6 months. So I think if we are successful, then within the next 3 to 6 months, will be quite substantial and publicly known as well.
Fantastic, Malcolm. That's super exciting, and really appreciate your time. It was lovely to meet you. And I'm going to be reaching out of line because there's lots of your service suite that we still actually need. And I think,
Certainly.
I'll be reaching out of line. I think this is the beginning of a beautiful relationship. And to everyone listening, I just want to say thank you for tuning in and join the talent revolution, Bondex in this future, own the Web 3.0 professional network of the future. And all the best to Malcolm and Gravitas as well. Thank you for joining us.
All the best to you, Ignacio, and your project. All right. Cheers. Bye bye.
Fantastic. Cheers. Bye bye.